Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the DFS Army KILLSHOT podcast. I'm here with my boy Dan Levy from Half the Battle and Best Fight Picks. We're here to break down this UFC Vegas 38 card from a DraftKings angle. Coming off a good week myself, I think this one's sort of a straightforward GPP type card for me, so I'm looking forward to it as well. How you feeling about this card, bro?
Feeling good. I mean, look, the main event between Santos and I was about to say Santos in my head, between Santos and Walker. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, am I overthinking it? I mean, it seems like it's going to end within 2 to 3 rounds, maybe even in the first. It seems like a lock that someone's going to get knocked out. Does that mean that they're going to stare at each other for 5 straight rounds? Because, I mean, I'm expecting violence, Kyle.
I am too, and it's going to be one of my favorite DraftKings fights as well because I'd imagine one of these guys is going to sleep, and you would think no matter what round that it's going to be that it's going to score well. But yeah, that's the one fight just on paper that I'm looking forward to seeing, like can't miss TV type thing. But as long as we can win money on this card, I'll like the rest of it as well.
I feel that, my friend. Let's get down to business.
Let's do it. All right, first fight of the night. We got Alejandro Perez coming in as a minus 265 favorite, and he's facing off against Johnny Eduardo, who I believe is like 43 years old now. How do you see this fight playing out?
Damn, my boy's already 43. That's fucking crazy because it's like, I remember back before I even had a Twitter account, like I cashed on Johnny at like plus 750 against Eddie Wineland. It was like one of the biggest underdog hits of that year, and it was like one of the catalysts that like got me into betting. Like that fight specifically, it was just such a big moment. And I was like, man, if I can hit a plus 750 on a dog like that, like what else can I do? Right. So yeah, so I'll always have a special place in my heart for Johnny Eduardo. As far as Alejandro is concerned, the only thing that kind of worries me is the inactivity. You know, he's been off, but at the same time, you could say he's coming off a brutal KO, and now he's had the proper time to recover. So, you know, so at least we know he's going to be well rested. I mean, I got to say Alejandro probably comes out here and wins this decision. Even if it gets too close, he's got this ability to weasel out fights. But I don't put a finish, you know, I'm not writing off a finish on either side because Johnny does hit like a truck. One thing about him, he might be 43 years old, but he can crack. And when he wins, he usually wins via knockout. And then on the other side of things, Alejandro, he usually wins via decision, but being that he's fighting a 43-year-old, maybe this will be the time he goes out there and gets that finish. So I think most likely Alejandro via decision, but I will have a little bit of both just in case that finish comes along. More Alejandro, though.
Yeah, that Eduardo fight with Wineland. I was actually there. I got tickets from Dana White to that card, like best seats in the house, and the whole row was basically empty because I guess it was just fighters, coaches, and whatnot that got it. And Wineland's strength and conditioning coach and some other coach come down just for that fight. Best seats in the house, and they're only there for that one fight. And like we didn't really care who was going to win that fight, but we're like, oh sweet, we got a reason to root for it now. Let's go Wineland. And then he gets knocked out, and they just walk right out. So pissed off.
Man.
So I was like, okay, this is awkward.
So they missed Matt Brown versus Eric Silva, huh?
Dude, they missed it all. Yeah, that was a good night, that's for sure. And not for them though. I can tell you that much. But yeah, that was my introduction to Eduardo, and I mean, nothing's really changed. He's a dangerous striker, and I think he is going to be the better striker, you know, in the early minutes of this fight. But it's either Eduardo breaks the slate or he loses this fight because I don't see him really continuing after the first round. And I think that Perez will take over and finish in the second or the third himself, just because I don't think at 41 years old, Eduardo can go 15 hard minutes. Perez isn't the type of guy I like to put my money on, to be honest, and when he's that big of a favorite, I'd really rather look elsewhere, but since I do think he gets the finish, I think this is a fight I want both sides of. Eduardo, though, I just think he goes completely overlooked, and his path to victory is 100-plus points. So I probably want to be a little bit over the field on Eduardo, whereas Perez, I just want to be in line with him so I don't get burned too bad if he does get that knockout early and just ends up on the optimal lineup with 100-plus points. But I agree. I think Perez is probably going to get this done, weather the early storm, and just come back late and get a finish of his own. This next one, I mean, I never root for fights to fall off of cards, but if we have to have one on this card, I really hope it's this fight. We got Stephanie Edgar, minus 122 versus Shayna Young, plus 100. And the reason I just don't like it from a DraftKings angle is because I don't want to put my money on either one of these ladies, but this could be a grappling heavy fight where the winner is going to score well. I just don't have a real strong lean on who that's going to be. What do you think?
I think this is the first time I'm actually not going to give you a pick because I really don't know. I don't care. I mean, it's like, listen, I'm always the guy that defends the UFC and this and that, but I mean, we're talking about one of these fighters got finished by Sarah Alpar, the other fighter lost to Alexa Connors. Like, just I'm not interested. Pass.
Yeah, I think I think it really just comes down to whoever gets takedowns. Whoever's spending time in top control the most is going to win this fight. I think Edgar has the better wrestling, so I'd rather side with her. And I mean, losing to Alpar is definitely not a good look from Young. But yeah, I just don't really care about this fight either. I just think that for DraftKings is the one place that we might have to care about it. So for my hand builds, I'm probably going to be Edgar or pass. Either she'll be in my lineup or I just won't have it because I don't really want to throw money into the pot by picking both sides of this fight. And then if it is a back and forth type fight where the winner is a split decision type winner where they score 70, I'm burned on both sides. So I'm just going to go Edgar or pass when I'm hand building the lineups. But when I'm doing my 150 in the DFS Army domination station, the optimizer over there, I'm just going to let it take over for me. Make sure that I don't have over, 25% or something like that of either lady. But just based on what projections give me, I'll let it take over and give me those type of lineups. I mean, and we have that optimizer for all sports. So this is the best time of the year to sign up for DFS Army right now. We're crushing it in NFL. We crush it in all sports, really. We have tools and coaches for every sport. We're all in the Discord. We'll answer any questions you guys have. You can tag us in there. We're all hanging out. But yeah, sign up. Promo code SLEEVUS will save you 10% every month. Best time of the year to sign up. Let's get this money. Yeah, so that's enough of this fight. Let's get on to the next one. We got Douglas Silva de Andrade minus 230 versus I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Perello. How do you see this fight going down?
Yeah, I mean, Gaetano Perello, I mean, on one hand, listen, he's had 21 pro fights, so you could say that he's paid his dues. I just have questions about, I mean, I say I have questions about the level of competition he's fought, but then again, he's been in there with Ricky Simone. He's been in there with Arnold Allen. He's been in there with some tough guys, but he's lost to all the tough guys he's fought. There's definitely some holes in his grappling. There's questions about his chin. With Douglas de Andrade, it's like one of those things where I'm worried about the age because, he is 36 years old, and in the lower weight classes, this is not like heavyweight where you're 36 years old and you're reaching your prime. Here at the lower weight classes, 36 years old is kind of an old man, but I still think he's got enough UFC experience and just skills to win this fight, but I probably won't be targeting it on DraftKings.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be dog or pass on DraftKings just because I don't want to pay that 9K price for Andrade. He just wastes too much cage time for me. He's not super active on the feet. He can get some takedowns, but he doesn't do anything with them. He really struggles holding top control. So I don't think he's going to be able to rack up, 5 to 10 takedowns and really break the slate in a decision. I think he needs the knockout to score highly here. I mean, he's a big, powerful dude. He could definitely get it. But if this is going to be a striking match, it's dog or pass for me. I think Perello is live in a striking match. I think he's maybe the more technical, could be even be the more active striker. I think he's dangerous as well. And I don't like trusting these old guys in these small weight classes either. So I'm going to take Perello here to pull off the upset. Definitely no confidence, but at his price tag, if he gets a knockout, he has a chance to break the slate. So I'm going to get some Perello. But at the same time, I could see him winning a close striking match where he doesn't get there in that case. So it's kind of knockout or bust from both sides for that 100-plus score, I think, in this one. But give me the dog just because the line talked me into that one. Next fight on the card, I think this is an important one for DraftKings. We got Devontae Smith minus 158 versus Jamie Malarkey plus 128. How do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those fights where it's like Devontae Smith should win this fight. Devontae Smith is better than this guy. Devontae Smith is more athletic, hits harder, all the above, the calf kicks. I like Devontae Smith. I think he's a good prospect. My only issue with Devontae is that from time to time, he'll lose the guys that he should beat. John Gunther, Kama Worthy. Like, I truly believe that Devontae Smith should be going out there knocking both these guys out in the first round with no problem at all. So from time to time, he'll let you down. I don't know if it's a chin thing. I don't know if he's just young and inexperienced. One thing about Malarkey is he's battle tested. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's been in there with Volkanovski. We're talking about a guy who has definitely paid his dues. This is his 18th pro fight. So Malarkey can take a shot. I mean, he had that fantastic war with Riddell. it's really just about if this is going to be another letdown for Devontae. If it's not, I got Devontae here, and I will be having Devontae on my lineups too.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite DraftKings fights on the card because I think both guys have that 100-point potential. Devontae, I mean, I just love his striking, his speed, his power, his boxing. It's just, I think, levels above Malarkey here. And if Malarkey struggles with takedowns and he's stuck standing, I just think that's not going to go well for him, and he's probably going to get knocked out. Devontae Smith has a knockout in all 3 of his UFC wins, and he has that 100-point ceiling in any matchup because of those, because of his hands. He could just knock out anybody, and if it comes in round 1, then he's going to score well. No different here. I do think I am going to pick him to get that knockout as well, but Malarkey went hard 3 rounds with Brad Riddell, who I think is a better striker. He's dangerous as well. So if Malarkey can hang in there, his path to victory is going to be through the mat, and he doesn't even need a finish to score 100-plus points. He racked up, it was 8 takedowns in his 2 UFC losses, scored 40-plus points in those fights with a loss. If he's going to win this fight, I would imagine he has more grappling success than that, and maybe even 10-plus minutes type of top control. So Malarkey is one of my favorite underdogs because I just think he scores well if he wins, no matter what. It's just he might get knocked out in round 1, and I don't want to be stuck with a ton of Malarkey lineups and not need Devontae Smith. So I will take that the knockout from Devontae and say that he is probably my preferred play, I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to load up on this fight, both sides. I'll probably have it in 70% or so of my total lineups, and ideally I'm just overweight to both sides of it because I think we're going to get a high score, and I'm looking forward to that one. Next one, not really looking forward to quite as much. We got Carol Rosa at minus 500 versus Betch Correa in her retirement fight at plus 360. I think it's just a one-side beating from Rosa. How do you think it goes down?
Actually, I am looking forward to this, and I'll tell you why. I mean, I think we all know that Carol Rosa has been DraftKings gold, man. I mean, firstly, let's look at her scores. I'm pulling it up right now. So I know the first 2 were over 100. I'm pretty sure the last one was 2. Yeah. Okay. So first time 112, second time 110, third time 109. So yeah, I mean, I like this girl, Carol Rosa. The first 2 times we weren't sure if they were counting the numbers right, but I mean, when you do it a third time, I mean, at some point we got to just accept that Carol Rosa she's got volume striking for days. She's one of the top prospects in that division. They're giving her a fighter on her retirement fight. And I'm a big fan of Betch. Don't get me wrong. My only issue is, it is Brazilian versus Brazilian. So maybe Carol Rosa shows some respect to what was Betch, one of the first Brazilian title challengers back in the day, when she fought Ronda Rousey. If she has a poster of Betch on her wall and stares at her, that's what I'm concerned about. But if Carol Rosa comes out here and fights how she's fully capable of, I see 100-plus points again. So give me Carol Rosa here, and I will have her in my lineups.
Yeah, for DraftKings, I am interested in the Rosa side only. I'm going to X Correa out of my lineups, but I do like Rosa. She's just very aggressive. I think she's going to be better anywhere this fight goes, and I love the volume from her, and I think she might even get a TKO here, just a referee stoppage where Betch can't hang on anymore. I mean, Betch Correa got knocked out cold by Ronda Rousey, so this isn't a girl with some chin that can just take a 15-minute beating, which I think it is just a one-way striking match. And if Rosa wants takedowns, those are going to be there for her as well. I think Rosa's the best cash game play on the card because she's my safest win on the card. And I also think she's got that 110, 120-point ceiling as well. I'm picking Rosa to get a TKO here. I saw that was plus 500 on the line. I think there's some value there. But that's going to be my pick, and I like her in all formats. I would be pretty surprised if she lost this fight. Next one, we got grappler versus striker, really. Casey O'Neill minus 210 versus Antonina Shevchenko, the bad Chefchenko sister, at plus 168. How do you think this one goes down?
I mean, on the feet, I think Shevchenko wins. On the mat, I think O'Neill wins. It's just about, is O'Neill going to do what she's supposed to do here? And if she does attempt to do what she's supposed to do, is she going to have success doing it? That's the big thing. I mean, with Shevchenko, and she definitely ain't her sister, but at the same time, all 3 people that she lost to were all in the top 15. One thing about Casey O'Neill, while I definitely think that she's a talented prospect, she's very green, man. And I mean, you got to also take into consideration, she beat Shayna Dobson, who is not only not in the UFC anymore, but has a losing record overall. Not losing record in the UFC. I mean, losing record in the UFC too, but I'm saying losing record overall. Mixed martial arts record is sub 500. And then Laura Procopio, who's also no longer with the company. So while I do think those were, she handled those fights accordingly, I do kind of view this as a step up. Now, I think it's one that O'Neal can win, because if she gets on top, we've seen that Shevchenko doesn't have much to offer. I'm just worried about the in-betweens, and I'm worried about on the feet too. When I lay like a price like this, I want advantages everywhere. But, she definitely has that advantage on the mat. So I'm going to go with O'Neal, but I'm going to be very sketched out for all the minutes that stay standing.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're in a bet of minus 210, you want an advantage on the feet and the ground here. But on DraftKings, if O'Neal has her way on the ground, that's DraftKings gold. She scored 140 points over Dobson, so we can't really expect that. But also 110 over Procopio. That is her ceiling in this as well, because it's just domination on the mat. Even in a decision, she probably scores very well, but she can also submit or get a ground and pound finish over Chefchenko here. So I definitely like Casey O'Neal on the DraftKings side. Cash, GPP, you name it. I think DraftKings is the spot for O'Neal this week. And I just don't really have too much interest in Chefchenko. There's other underdogs I'd rather target on this card. She needs to keep this fight on the feet. And a knockout's really her only path to 100 plus, because I don't think O'Neal's just going to accept a 15-minute striking match here for Shevchenko to rack up volume doing that. So it's really just O'Neal or pass for me, and I do think she gets the job done through the ground, finish, or just a clear decision. Next one is an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to this one, more so just from a fan perspective rather than DraftKings. But we got Joe Salecki minus 142 versus Jared Gordon plus 116. It's a fun one, I think. How do you think it goes down?
Yeah, I like this fight a lot. I've been higher on Joe Salecki than most. I definitely bet on him in the Jim Miller fight. Also bet on him in the Matt Wyman fight. Definitely picked him against Austin Hubbard. So he did his thing. I think it actually might be first UFC L time here. And I could be way wrong. And Jared Gordon is someone that I've picked against and actually has success picking against, like when I cashed on Joaquin Silva back in the day. But the reason why I think this might be a good fight for Jared Gordon is because oftentimes when I look to fade Jared Gordon, I look for kind of a knockout threat. And Salecki is kind of the opposite of a knockout threat. His hands are still coming along. He's more of a very strong grappler. And I know it says that Gordon's got 55% takedown defense, but it seems to me like Gordon, I believe, isn't he like a black belt in jiu-jitsu under Renzo Gracie? And from what I've heard, when Jared Gordon gets on top of people, it feels like, I've heard from UFC fighters that he's got top pressure similar to Khabib. So don't quote me on that. UFC fighters have told me that. So basically what I'm trying to say is he's very heavy on top. And I saw in that last fight that Joe Salecki had that he actually pulled guard in the first round against Jim Miller. So I think if he pulls guard here against a guy like Jared Gordon, he's going to be stuck on bottom. The only reason he was able to come back in the second and third is because we know this version of Jim Miller can't fight past a round, whereas Jared Gordon is kind of known for his cardio. So I kind of view this like a coin flip type fight, kind of like the opener indicated. So give me Jared Gordon at the dog price.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think Gordon has the edge on the feet. Salecki would be the more dangerous, I would think, the more dangerous grappler of the two. But I don't know that he can out-wrestle Gordon consistently and get more than just a couple takedowns in this fight. We have fight goes to decision, minus 180. I think Gordon's the guy who has the ceiling in a decision just by his pace alone. I think he can get up there, and he's the underdog, so we don't really need 100-plus points from him. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get 100 points from either one of these guys if we're going to a decision. It's just that I would rather take my shots on Gordon. But this will be another one where I just let the optimizer take over for me for my 150 lineups. And then with my hand builds, I'm probably going to look to either avoid it, or if I need to throw in Gordon as an underdog, then I'll do that. But I think there's some other underdogs on the card with higher ceilings that I might look to instead. So even though I'm picking Gordon here, I have it as like a split decision type of fight, so I probably won't be too over the field, even if I do get some. Next one, we got the most expensive guy on the card, Alex Hernandez. He's coming in as a minus 550 favorite, facing newcomer Mike Breeden at plus 390. How's this one gonna go down?
I haven't been as high on Alex Hernandez as most. I still to this day think the Beneil Dariush fight was a fluke, and then I thought all his subsequent performances were kind of underwhelming. I mean, the OAM fight was kind of a coin flip fight until OAM decided to go to his back for a leg lock and then ended up losing the round. The Cowboy fight, you remember the kind of shit this kid talked, and you'd think he got humbled, but I mean, then the Trinaldo fight, one of the biggest robberies we've ever seen. Gritzmacher fight, great job. He handled him accordingly. And then Thiago Moises did his thing. So I haven't really been that impressed with Alex Hernandez, but let me say this. He's definitely more experienced than this kid, Mike Breeden. I mean, Breeden, he's just kind of average, right? It's just, I personally don't feel comfortable laying a price like, and I forgot to mention the Drew Dober fight too. It seems like when this kid goes past the first round, he kind of falls apart. I'm actually very curious what would have happened if he went past the first round against Chris Gritzmacher, who's known for eating all those shots and then coming back. But Chris's chin didn't hold up. Curious to see what Breeden can do if he can get this into the second and third, but and I won't ever lay minus 600 or something like that on Alex Hernandez. Definitely won't. But I got to pick him to win, man. He's more experienced. He's battle tested. He can probably use all the big words he wants and still come out here and win this fight. So give me Alex Hernandez, but I'm not exactly sure that I want him on my DraftKings. It's too expensive. And one thing about this kid Breeden, let's pull up his record real quick. One thing about Breeden is that he's mostly pretty damn durable. He's only been finished one time in 13 pro fights. Will this be the second time? Possibly. But if he does not get finished, then I don't see Hernandez scoring well. But there's always that chance for that early knockout. So that's why maybe a little Hernandez. But I'd rather have like Carl Rosa, who is 3 for 3 scoring 100 plus points. Whereas Alex scoring 100 plus points is reliant on that first round knockout, which he may or may not get. So give me Hernandez for the win, and I will have him on some lineups. It's just not a must play for me like Carl Rosa is.
Yeah, well said. I really don't have too much more to add. We do have that minus 125 range inside the distance line for Hernandez. I think he could score well in a decision as well, but he would have to grapple heavy for that to be 100 plus points and to pay off his highest price tag on the card. So I'd rather save that $100, go to Rosa as well, especially cash. That's why I said she's my safest play, because it wouldn't shock me to see Hernandez go in there and have a 15-minute striking match and just blow it by not being active enough. And he could also get knocked out. I trust this Breeden guy's power more than I would trust Betch Correa. So I think not only does Rosa have a higher ceiling, but I think she has the higher floor as well. But if you could fit them both, I'd say that's solid. But yeah, I think you said this one well. I will take Hernandez to get the finish, but I think the earlier, the better for DraftKings. Next fight, we got Aspen Ladd, minus 250 versus Macy Chiasson. This is a rebooked fight that they were going to have, I think, 2 months ago or so. I'm picking Ladd in this one. I'm pretty sure I broke this one down for DFS Army people before, but I just think she's the more dangerous fighter of the two, and I really like her when she's in top control, throwing down those heavy ground and pound strikes. So that's what I just envision here. I think Chiasson will struggle quite a bit if she's under Ladd, and really, I just like both sides of this fight. More so Ladd because I'm picking her to win. I think she can dominantly win this fight and maybe finish it. But Chiasson's a scorer, man. This girl is active. If she can get takedowns of her own, she can do some damage. She has some nasty strikes on the feet. We saw Ladd get knocked out by GDR. It's a whole different animal, but maybe she's got a chin question mark against heavy strikers. So I guess that knockout potential is somewhat there for Chiasson. I think we'll get a high score no matter what. I like this fight. I'm going to go with the Ladd side as my pick and preferred play, but I probably want to go a little bit over the field on Chiasson because she might go overlooked here, and she has 100 plus ceiling. So love this fight for GPPs, but it's if I'm going to throw it in a cash game, that's for sure Ladd. How do you think this plays out?
Yeah, I mean, look, if Chezon can keep it standing, she's got a great chance to win. I mean, she lands way more volume than Aspen Ladd does. So on the feet, I think Xiaozhan does her thing. It's just it might only take one takedown for the fight to be over shortly after, and that's what I'm most worried about. So it's probably going to be a situation where it's sketchy, 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 but as soon as Lad gets on top, that's when she's going to be making all those sounds and doing all that ground and pound and getting that TKO stoppage. So give me Lad to finish this fight.
Yeah, man, that screaming is scary. I'd stop the fight early too if she was doing that shit. So yeah, let's go, Lad.
I'm very curious to hear what Joe Sun-Soo would say. You know, I'm not going to say what I'm thinking right now, but I'm very curious to hear what Joe Sun-Soo's comments would be about her making those screaming sounds while she's on top.
Well, look for that in the Discord. Joe's in there. He's always on these women fights, so people are asking him more than they're asking me questions on these ones. So ask Sun-Soo in there. He'll hit you up. Next one we got. This line's a little odd to me, but it makes sense. We got Krzysztof Choco minus 154 versus Misha Cirkunov plus 126.
I think Marley might have froze, but anyways, he was. Oh, now I can hear you. Are you there, buddy?
You can hear me? Yeah, now you're froze on mine. So I don't know what just happened there. It says we're live, so hopefully we're good. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're kind of roboting. You want to do a quick refresh, and I'll handle it until you come back?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So basically, we got Misha Cirkunov dropping to middleweight for the very first time. And what's interesting about that is he was already a really big dude at 205. So to see him at middleweight, we got a lot of questions because he's cutting a lot of weight. There was already kind of a chin issue. There was also kind of questions about his toughness too. Some of these fights, while they have been officially knockouts, there was questions about, was he truly knocked out, or did things kind of go south and he checked out, you know? So there are questions about his heart. Now cutting an extra 20 pounds, how's that going to aid his durability? Because one thing about Jocko is just a solid average fighter, man. I mean, he's good at going out there, winning those decisions, and you got to stay up on the points against a guy like Jocko. One thing about Cirkunov, he's more of a first round or bust kind of guy. So if he can come out here and finish Jocko, look, Jocko has been finished before, just not that often. If he can come out here and finish Jocko, he will score high. It's just if he doesn't, I personally don't trust Cirkunov down the stretch. And if he does not get that first round finish, then I don't see this being a high scoring fight unless Jocko gets his first finish since, I believe, Tamden McCrory. You know, I even cashed on Jocko in that fight. He was like plus 200 against Tamden McCrory, got a first round knockout. So there's that element to the fight, but based on most Jocko fights, he tends to win decisions. If he wins another decision here, he ain't going to score high. So we need a finish for this fight to be on the optimal lineup.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can.
All right, cool. Yeah, Cirkunov has never been to a decision in his UFC career. I think he is the more dangerous fighter. I think he's got more power on the feet. I think he's a better submission artist on the ground, more likely to get a ground and pound finish as well. His chin is just the biggest concern here, and he's dropping weight. So I don't know that that's going to help his chin at all here. So that's a big worry. It's just that Jocko's not a big power striker. So it's more just a fade on Misha's chin, I think, is what this line is telling me. But they still have damn near the same inside the distance line. We got Jocko was plus 175 inside the distance, Misha plus 200. Yeah, I think the ceiling is on the Misha side, and especially if he's going to look to get this fight to the mat. I think he can end it there or just win with a lot of top control time if he goes to his first decision. But yeah, I like Misha in this fight. It's just that I don't trust his chin. I do think there's value in that line. I would almost slightly favor him in this matchup, I think. It's just I don't know if I even trust my own line because of that chin. I don't know that I would be betting Misha here, but I do like him on DraftKings. If he wins, I think he scores well. I think he has one of the higher ceilings as an underdog as well. So I'll be on the Misha side in GPPs. I don't really think we could trust him in cash games, though, because that chin is an issue. And with Jocko, like the chin's an issue, so maybe he can get that knockout. But if he doesn't get a knockout, I don't think he scores well in this fight. So I'd rather look to other favorites, and I'm going to fade Jocko, I think, and just hope that he doesn't get that early knockout and ruin my night. But I could definitely see that happening. Yeah, give me Misha in this one. Hopefully he can come through. I've been fooled before, though. All right. We got Nico Price in this next one, minus 170. That's moving up a little bit. Versus Alex Cowboy Oliveira, plus 138. I'm going to go with Nico on this one. How do you think it plays out?
Yeah, I mean, I am picking Nico as well. It's just I'm always sketched out laying a favorite price on a guy like Nico. Nico is a guy who is an underdog, a killer be killed guy. You want to back him at that underdog price. The reason why I'm picking him here is because it seems like he is slightly fresher than Alex Cowboy. And I love Alex Cowboy, huge fan. But one thing about Alex Cowboy, where I think there's a fundamental difference between the two, is that I think that Nico's kind of willing to dig deeper in tough spots. So but look, Alex is a seasoned UFC vet. I mean, we're talking about a guy who has got one of the strongest clinches in the game. He's got brutal knees. He's got one punch knockout power, good takedowns. I mean, I got nothing bad to say about him. All I'm thinking is that if it's kind of 1-1 heading into that third round, I can kind of see Nico digging deeper and possibly finding that finish along the way. So give me Nico. And I will have him in some DraftKings lineups, but betting window at this price, I just kind of want to I want to pass on price.
Yeah, minus 170, it's getting up there a little too high for me as well on the betting line. But on DraftKings, I'm cool with it. And I was never a Nico Price guy. Like all these wins, even, it's just not a guy that I was sold on. He's getting some knockouts here and there, but these last three fights where he did not get the win are where I was most impressed with him. Just the volume alone in these fights, I feel like he's really changed it around. I think he looks better out there. He's more comfortable out there. And I think he's the more dangerous fighter really anywhere. Maybe not the submission game, but I think he's the better wrestler, and he would be the one to put Cowboy in worse spots on the ground. So I like Nico here. I do think he could pay off that salary. We got a plus 120 inside the distance line on Nico as well. If he finishes this fight, he's definitely going to score well. So I'm cool with Nico, and I don't think I'm going to really have much, if any, Cowboy, because he's not a scorer. He hasn't scored more than, I think, 62 DraftKings points in his last 7 fights. And I think he's going to have to get a finish in order to do that here. So probably a Nico or pass on that one for me. Now this next one is very interesting, I think, for DraftKings. I have a hard time seeing how this plays out in my head, but I'm liking both sides of it. We got Kevin Holland minus 158 versus Kyle Dawkis coming in after his brother just got a knockout last week. Talk to me about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that everyone's kind of viewing it like, oh, Holland's fighting a grappler, so therefore he's going to lose. And I just don't think it's that simple, man. I think that the guys that beat him were both top 5, top 10 guys. And it's not going to be as easy as just coming out here, taking him down, and you win the fight. I mean, I think people had that game plan prior to those 2 losses, and you saw it's not as easy as it looks until you get to the top echelon. And while I respect Kyle Dawkis, I think he's a very tough guy. I think that he's paying his dues, and I respect him a lot. I just don't see that, top 15 echelon skill at this moment. Maybe down the line, but right now I don't think he's quite there. So I do think this is a fight that Kevin Holland can come out here and win. Now, we got to mention Dawkis has landed 7 takedowns in his 4 octagon appearances. So, I mean, the path to victory is there. And what I'd be most worried about is not Dawkis finishing, but like Dawkis kind of just stealing around by staying on top of Holland. For sure, I'd be worried about that. But I think Holland's much more dynamic, and I think Holland will be able to mostly keep this fight standing until maybe he gets a little tired. So I think he can steal 2 rounds, possibly get a finish, but most likely steal 2 rounds. This kid Dawkis can take a whooping. He's so tough. That fight against Phil Haas, man, he took a serious whooping and stayed in there, man. So I respect Dawkis a lot. Give me Kevin Holland via decision.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I think that Holland probably needs a finish, though, for him to score well enough to get the optimal lineup, unless he's, racking up reversals, looking for some takedowns of his own. Hell, he could even get a submission, I guess, but I think Dawkis is going to be much more live for the submission. I think he's going to be the one that's looking for takedowns here, who could spend time in top control. So I just think Dawkis is a good underdog to target, because if he wins, I would think that a lot of that comes through the ground. I don't mind his fighting pace either, so I'm going to take the Dawkis side by submission or even like a split decision type of fight. But I do like both sides of it. It wouldn't shock me to see Holland go out there and get a knockout, but I would rather be overweight to the underdog in this one, because I think there's just other favorites on the card with higher ceilings than Holland that I trust a little bit more. Fight IQ is also an issue with Holland. but this is just a fun fight. I think that we will see a lot of back and forth, whether it be on the feet or the ground. But yeah, give me Holland on the feet, Dawkis on the ground. Close fight, but I'll take the underdog here. Next fight, we got the main event, the one that is close to an all-in fight for me. We got Thiago Santos minus 162 versus Johnny Walker plus 132. Talk to me about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be very disappointed if this is not violent, if someone doesn't get knocked out along the way, right? I just expect it to be two Brazilian bruisers, two heavy hitters going at it until someone falls. They're going to stand and bang until one man falls. That's the bottom line. Now, in a fight like that, oftentimes I want to take the dog. My issue with Johnny is that his chin is just not the best. Now, on paper, both guys have been knocked out the same amount of time, so it's not like Marreta is Mr. Durable or anything like that, but we've seen Johnny Walker just flop around like a fish from time to time, and it's kind of tough to watch. But if he doesn't get hit, or if he can hit Marreta first, man, I can see that Johnny Walker knockout. And then I also want to mention that I don't quite think that Johnny's looked the same since he injured himself celebrating since the Circa fight. But luckily for him, Thiago Santos hasn't been the same since the John Jones fight where he got injured too. So both these guys are kind of trying to find themselves again after injuries. You know, with Johnny Walker, I believe it was the shoulder. With Marreta, it was a torn ACL. The thing is, Marreta is almost 40 years old, man. He's getting up there in age. So either guy can get the knockout here. I'm just kind of, price like this, maybe I'm way off, but I'm kind of leaning towards the dog. So hopefully Johnny Walker can get this knockout before he gets touched, because I know if he gets touched, he's gonna start flopping around like he has multiple times, and that'll just kill that. But yeah, give me Johnny Walker. Not the most confident play, because I know, like I said, I know his chin ain't the best. I know Thiago's got some of the most knockouts in UFC history. I just haven't seen that same killer from Thiago in a long, long time. And people say he's a new man at 205. I mean, he's a 500 fighter at 205. So that's factually incorrect to say he's a new man at 205. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he catches Walker first, but give me Walker to catch him first.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think we get a knockout probably in the first 3 rounds of this fight, hopefully before that. And the longer that goes, I think the more it favors Santos. If he wants to look for takedowns here, I think he could have some success on the ground. But yeah, I want a striking match. It would suck if it's like an Ngannou, Derek Lewis, where they're just giving each other too much respect and they're not engaging. But I don't think we're going to get that here. I think this will be just a barn burner as long as it lasts, hopefully anyways. But I'll take the underdog as well. Just give me the younger guy, the taller guy, the longer guy. And I think we're going to see more improvements from Walker, whereas we know what we're going to get with Santos, in my opinion. So I'm going to take the underdog to land that big shot as well. But either way, I'm going to load up on this fight. We got a minus 480 inside our fight does not go to a decision line. That is like 83%. So that's, in my opinion, a great number to put as my total exposure on DraftKings. Get around 83% of this fight. And I'm going to favor the underdog, so maybe it'll be like 43-40, something like that. It'll be pretty close, I'd imagine. But I will have more lineups with Walker than I do Santos. I think he has one of the highest ceilings as an underdog with that early KO potential. And I would imagine he's going to be my highest owned underdog on the card. But yeah, hopefully we get that violence. If so, this is going to be appointment TV. Don't miss it. All right, now time for the kill shot. Every week we do a kill shot where we pick a lower owned fighter, ideally an underdog, but if we got a low owned favorite, that works as well. Do you have anybody in mind for this card who it's going to be?
Johnny Walker. I mean, he's the underdog here in the main event. We know that if he wins this fight, it will be via knockout. Now, he might get kill shotted too, so it's definitely a risk. I mean, he doesn't have the best chin. I've established this multiple times, but when he finishes people, he finishes them brutally, and he ends up on the optimal lineup. So give me that underdog to win.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be a chalky underdog, though. But there's not really any low-owned underdogs on this card I'm going to love. So I think if you want a super low-owned one, I'm going to go with Eduardo. But my real shot is going to be Misha Cirkunov. I think he can come through, get a finish in round 1 or round 2, and end up on the optimal lineup as an underdog. So I'm going to take Misha as my kill shot. I'm pretty sure I've been on fire with those kill shots lately. So hopefully we keep going this week. And I'd like to see a lot of those DFS Army helmets at the top of the leaderboard if it's not me or Dan ourselves. But good luck to you this weekend, Dan. Good luck to everybody listening. From us and DFS Army, we are out. Good luck. Talk to you guys next time.